Hello friends, this is Kagi with you. This is already our third episode about the ADV school. Why do I call it that? In any case, here we are truly trying to learn how to competently ride big, powerful enduros, mid-sized enduros, and diligently trying to do some of the essential exercises that many experienced people recommend on YouTube for smaller bikes, lighter enduros. So in the last lesson, we practiced clutch control. I hope that over the past week you practiced it at least a little bit. And now we have an understanding from the first lesson about balance and from the second lesson about clutch control. And now it's the perfect time to come here to the training ground and practice some elements that will help us in the future with slow maneuvering and developing a sense of balance. And among other things, this is so important for touring on the Angie, for riding off-road, the so-called foundation of Russia's riding. And I don't know how much of a foundation it really is. First of all, of course, you should pay attention to your stance, your seating position, how to hold your legs, and so on. And you can find all of this together on my channel in the Chris Birch lessons, translated by Motali. Thanks to that guy. Here, I won't repeat myself because, well, who am I compared to Chris Birch, especially since I learned from his lessons myself? Actually, a small recommendation, maybe he mentioned this in his video too. I'll just share what helps me a little. So, we need to grip the motorcycle with our legs while riding, mainly in this area, using the shins. And to press even harder, I place my feet on the foot pegs, not straight, but at a slight angle like this. Let's say with the front part of the foot. I turn them slightly inward, and because of that, the foot pegs have spikes. And on them, the sole, the foot, everything becomes a single unit, trying to twist back a little as if there's a sensation of a reverse rotational force. And this reverse rotational force presses the heels down even more and allows me to hold onto the motorcycle better. So let's start with a few exercises that I recommend to you. Well, I probably won't show them because they've either already been on my channel or you might have seen them in the video about beginners, the acceleration and braking exercise, to shift your weight and feel how to do it correctly so that it becomes automatic. And the second exercise, which I also won't be showing, but it's very useful, and you should do it, is to do the same braking and acceleration, but with only one hand. That is, keep your other hand behind you like this. Well, I usually just put it behind my back. Try riding with one hand, accelerating, braking, turning, doing all the possible exercises we're doing today, but with just one hand. Of course, you won't be able to do everything, but try to do them with one hand, because first of all, it allows you to feel how you need to hold the motorcycle, especially during acceleration and braking, specifically with your legs. Second, it's about managing your weight properly, because if you don't shift your weight forward in advance when accelerating, or backward when braking, and you only have one hand and are holding on just with your legs, then there's no saving you. That's why riding with one hand is a very useful thing. I've spent a lot of time here on the training ground riding with one hand. All right, let's start with the exercises we need today. And of course, these will be exercises with cones. And these cone exercises, the first one will be the slalom. We'll practice it, and actually we'll do it in two different ways. I think we'll see how it goes now. If anything, I'll explain to you that there are two types of slalom, and they're different. Then we'll do the figure 8 with leaning. I'll also show you some techniques, let's say, where you lean the motorcycle so much that you have to lift your foot off the peg. I'm not very good at doing this, but I've practiced it a couple of times. And finally, we can probably try doing the square at low speed, but I'm not sure if that'll work out. Let's get started. So I've set up the cones, as you can see, about 3 meters apart. Ideally, you want to set the distance so that it's roughly equal to the wheelbase of the motorcycle. My bike's wheelbase is probably about 2.5 meters, maybe 220, something like that. Let's take a look now, by the way, at precisely how much more it actually is. There's a small amount of sand present here, but it's approximately 2 meters. Yes, actually, not 2.20 meters. Let's consider this carefully. So you can safely reduce it by a meter if you're doing some kind of exercise. Let's try this slalom. The main goal of the slalom, I repeat, is to ride it slowly. Riding it fast isn't difficult. You need to go through it slowly. There's a significant amount of sand here, as I previously mentioned, so you absolutely need to be a bit more careful and attentive with your grip and diligently work with the available traction and the distribution of your weight. In other words, the slower and more deliberately you go through this section, the higher the overall quality and effectiveness your run is generally considered to be. Now, let's proceed to go the other way. The spacing here is, of course, exceptionally wide and quite expansive, so it's pretty hard to completely miss indeed. By the way, I'm currently doing this now in first gear, which is a bit slower and more controlled, but you should definitely try doing it in second gear if you happen to have a Tenere, because in second gear, it generally rides much more smoothly and with greater control. So, let's try to have a little bit of fun and do the exact same thing, but this time in a more dynamic and exciting drifting style. Yeah, I didn't fit in this time. I should have started earlier. Well, that's roughly how it goes if you do it pretty quickly. I don't know how well you could actually see that, but I really kicked up a significant amount of dust. I'll try it again now. Something like that. That's what happens if we do it with a drift. Now we'll set the cones closer together to make it more challenging. And we'll practice really slow passes now. Alright, I've set them a bit closer together, almost as narrow as the motorcycle's base, and now we'll give it a try. This is going to be tough. You'll really need to balance. And by the way, there's another exercise, kind of like a slalom, where you go around one cone with the front wheel and a different one with the rear wheel. I saw Jarvis do it, but it's still pretty hard for me. Maybe someday we'll try that together. I don't know. Let's try this one for now. Right now, you need to be really careful, go slowly, and choose your line well. We could make it just a little bit narrower. It wasn't exactly at the base just now, it was probably the base plus about 20 centimeters. So in fact, really, yes, we could make it a little bit narrower, because right now it's actually pretty easy for me. And I'll try to go back again even slower this time, because, as I said, the devil is in the speed. Riding through quickly is usually not that hard, as long as it's still at the base width. But it's all about balancing. Let's try one last time to go through with this kind of spacing in drift mode if it works out. And then we'll move on to the next one. And let's do it once from this side as well. A couple of times at the beginning I didn't enter well and it didn't work out. That's more or less exactly how it usually, typically goes. All right, let's do one last attempt. Then for the last attempt, we'll just set the cones at the wheelbase or even a bit less and give it a try. I've never tried this myself, never drifted like this, so it'll be something new for me too. I've spaced the cones about at the wheelbase, maybe even a little less. Let's check before we start. That's pretty narrow. Well, I'm not sure I'll be able to pull this off. But that's exactly why we're here, to practice. Yeah, it's almost exactly at the wheelbase, right? Exactly at the wheelbase. Of course, I measured it by foot, so there could be all sorts of discrepancies. And also, the spacing is a bit crooked. Well, okay, those are just my excuses. All right, let's give it a try. Nope, that's wrong, I didn't make it through. I'll try it from the other side now. No, I can't fit. See how hard this is for me? Sure, you certainly did it, and I honestly haven't had the opportunity to do it myself before this moment, but despite that, it's still proving to be a really quite tough and challenging experience for me right now, at this very point in time. Obviously it works with a small angle, but it was clear that it would work with a small angle. It seems to me like there's only one joint. Or maybe not. It's more visible over there, from that side. And now if you don't go in from the left but from the right, it'll be harder because the second one is shifted to the right side. Just like that. I showed you the snake pattern. You can make it smaller. You can spread the pieces to the sides and then it will be more difficult. And this is one of the exercises that I really practice often. But of course, not on such a small one. I make it a bit wider because I mostly practice it while drifting. Let's move on to the figure 8 square area. Let's see what's going on there. Ladies and gentlemen, the figure 8. One of my favorite exercises. If you're a complete beginner, I suggest first just going around a single cone in one direction, then in the other direction. After that, you can start doing figure 8s. You can make the figure 8s larger or smaller in diameter, depending on how far you move away from the center. You can also set up gates so that it's not too wide. For example, not a wide entry, but a short one. Let me quickly show you circles, and then we'll move on to figure 8s. All these exercises can be done both while sitting and while standing as well. There's no fundamental difference between the two. The main thing to remember is to lift your elbows up, pulling your elbow away from the gate, away from the center. I'll be doing it standing up. And you should start accordingly with circles like these. Not too wide, not too narrow, so you can maintain control. The slower your speed, the more difficult it becomes. Let's make a very small circle, really small. Let's try to push the handlebar all the way in. There it is, almost. This is what happens when it stalls. That's why it's much easier to do this in second gear. Because the modulation is simpler in that case. This happens quite often. It's okay. All right, let's try again. Just a little bit. Quickly. It's always easier to the left, of course. Yeah, it's a bit easier to the left. Oh, you probably can't see anything. But you do get tired faster from this, of course. I can't say I did it exactly right just now because my body was a bit awkward. But I think you got the idea well enough. So now let's do some classic figure 8s. There are a considerable number of rocks scattered all around this area, lying here and there. Specifically, there are many small ones, you know, the kind that are quite difficult to discern and spot with the naked eye, often blending seamlessly into the surrounding environment, making them particularly challenging to notice and avoid. That was actually dangerous just now, because my clutch was almost fully pulled in, which is a significant concern for safe operation and control of the vehicle. This situation is far from ideal and presents a considerable risk. It's definitely not good because if any unexpected event or sudden maneuver were to occur, there's a high probability that the vehicle could lose stability and potentially fall, especially during precise exercises like the figure 8s or any other similar challenging riding conditions. There's also another exercise, the so-called square. That's when you set up a little square and try to slowly make a turn within it. I've actually never practiced this at all. I mean, I've really never tried this before. Let's give it a try. I'm not sure it'll work out. Because it seems like there's not enough space for the elephant. 4 meters. I don't know. Let's try it. Well, obviously I can enter it in a drift. That's not even a question. I can just stop there. Just drift in. But that's not the goal. Well, just now my steering wheel was at full lock. I mean, it was right up against the stopper. I'll try again now, but I have a feeling it's just geometrically impossible for me to get through. Such a small turn. I'll try to lean in harder now. The counter will hang out. I don't know if it'll work or not. Almost. I told you it's easy with drifting. Honestly, I get the feeling that, yeah, if I practice a bit, I might actually pull it off. It's not like there's super little space. It's just like there's just a tiny bit missing. It feels like somehow you could actually manage it. But I was just a little bit short. But believe me, if I practiced, I probably would have had enough space. Just a reminder, it's 4 meters here. So the wheelbase of my bike is about 2 meters. So that's about 2 wheelbases basically. Well, yeah, maybe just a little less, like 1 and something. But it's almost 2 wheelbases roughly. I'm a bit out of breath, but not as much as the previous times. I truly believe that we have now thoroughly covered almost every single important aspect about the entire training area for the time being. There's a log standing over there. I'll probably shoot a little teaser for the next video now. But overall, yeah, we're done here now. Oh, and by the way, just for a second, if anyone wants to comment about whether it's hard or not, the rear is at 2.7, the front is at 2.4. If you let some air out, everything I did here would be much easier. But honestly, I just forgot. I only remembered it just now. And this exercise would have been much easier to do. Well, you get the idea? Don't forget, we have a Telegram channel where we post all sorts of interesting stuff and discuss things. Not that we discuss a whole lot, to be honest. But one way or another, at least there you know what new motorcycle I bought for myself. So if you want to find out, you're welcome to join there, here, there. Subscribe and leave comments. Don't forget to drop links under this video or under other videos. Links to YouTube tutorials that you'd like me to recreate. And together with you, we went through them and tried to do them on this kind of mid-displacement touring enduro with not a lot of experience. I mean, from my side, the rider doesn't have a lot of experience. This kind of thing with a practice area, if you practice at least once a week, or even once every 2 weeks, everyone has different schedules after all. I ride almost every morning, every other day. What is that? Damn, what a branch. Then you'll really learn how to control the motorcycle well. Specifically, how to shift your weight and feel it at low speeds. It's very useful, especially since, as you saw, I haven't practiced on the training area for a long time, probably about 3 weeks already. I haven't trained on the practice area. You saw how I was doing on the circles here. Because I didn't manage to catch the right moment to pull in the clutch. I would fall. That happens. It's pretty common. Well, this was Kagi with you. Now I'll show you the log and how to jump over it. And after that, that's it. Wait for next week. Practice and send your videos to our Telegram channel again. Subscribe and leave a like. Bye-bye. Take care. Here's the log. It's not very big. Like, I don't know how big it is here. Probably about 25 centimeters, something like that. Now I'll put my helmet on and we'll go over it a couple of times back and forth. That was pretty good, but my foot slipped off it. Let's try one more time. Just like that. That kind of intense little jump, that's what we need. That was good just now. I dug out a little bump in front of it, so when I ride up, my front wheel rolls a bit off the line. You probably can't see it over there, but I can see it, it's right here. That was a really good, very good attempt indeed. All right, friends, bye-bye for now. Take care.